ये प्रायर आर्ट सर्च होती है कि आप जिस भी चीज़ पे काम करने जा रहे हैं, तो सबसे पहले एक प्रायर आर्ट सर्च करना चाहिए कि सेम एग्जैक्टली सेम आइडिया है कि नहीं है। ठीक है, वो उसमें सेकेंड स्टेप ये होता है कि हमें ना जब हम ड्राफ्टिंग करते हैं तो उसमें कुछ टेक्निक्स
आइडिया
होती हैं।
आइडिया क्या सर्च करना चाहिए मैम?
हाँ जी।
आइडिया क्या सर्च करना चाहिए?
अम, सर प्रायर आर्ट सर्च जो मैंने आपको कल बताया था ना, तो अगर मान लीजिए
अच्छा।
कि मैं कोई मेथड ऑफ ट्रीटिंग वाटर का कुछ ऐसा इन्वेंशन है मेरा, वैसा आइडिया है। ठीक है, तो फिर मैं उसको गूगल में भी सर्च करूंगी और जितने भी पेटेंट डेटाबेसेस हैं उसमें भी चेक करूंगी कि वेदर दैट आइडिया इज प्रेजेंट और नॉट। अगर मान लीजिए
जब
सेम
पेटेंट
आइडिया,
डेटाबेस पे हमको सर्च करना चाहिए।
हाँ, तो पेटेंट डेटाबेस प्लस गूगल के जो नॉन पेटेंट लिटरेचर डेटाबेसेस होते हैं उसमें भी सर्च कर सकते हैं। तो अगर हमने ये प्रायर आर्ट सर्च कर लिया बिफोर इनिशिएटिंग अवर रिसर्च, विच मीन्स कि हमारा इन्वेंशन में कुछ तो एटलीस्ट न्यू एंड इन्वेंटिव टेक्निकल फीचर्स हैं। ठीक है,
हम्म।
और क्योंकि क्या होता है ना, बाद में जो एप्लीकेशन हम फाइल करते हैं दैट सेम एप्लीकेशन इज ऑल्सो एग्जामिन्ड बाय द कंट्रोलर एट इंडियन पेटेंट ऑफिस, जब वो एग्जामिनेशन फेज से गुजरती है। ठीक है, और वो लोग भी यही एक्टिविटी करते हैं, वो भी यही सर्च करते हैं कि इनका ये जो एप्लीकेंट का जो भी इन्वेंशन है वेदर इट इज नॉवल एंड इन्वेंटिव और नॉट विद रिस्पेक्ट टू द एग्जिस्टिंग लिटरेचर या एग्जिस्टिंग पेटेंट डॉक्यूमेंट, तो कुछ ऐसा नहीं है या कुछ पब्लिकेशन तो ऐसा नहीं है। तो अगर हमने पहले से सर्च करके रखा होगा तो एटलीस्ट 70% वी आर फ्री टू गो कि हाँ कुछ ऐसा क्लैशिंग या ओवरलैपिंग या कंफ्लिक्टिंग चीज नहीं है विच विल प्रिवेंट अस फ्रॉम गेटिंग अ पैटर्न ग्रांट।
ओके ओके ओके।
तो मतलब मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेंट टिप तो यही है कि सबसे पहले वी शुड परफॉर्म अ प्रायर आर्ट सर्च टू फाइंड आउट इन ऑन वट एवर आइडिया वी आर गोइंग टू वर्क इज इट ऑलरेडी प्रेजेंट और नॉट। और अगर एग्जैक्टली सेम आइडिया प्रेजेंट है तो उस टाइम पे हम कुछ मॉडिफाई कर लें, क्योंकि सेम चीज में तो अगर ऑलरेडी सेम काम हो रखा है, सेम रिसर्च हो रखी है, तो फिर उसमें पेटेंट नहीं मिलेगा। पेटेंट मिलने के लिए द मिनिमम रिक्वायरमेंट इज कि इट शुड बी न्यू, उसमें एटलीस्ट वन न्यू टेक्निकल फीचर होना चाहिए। और वो जो न्यू टेक्निकल फीचर है उसको किसी भी फॉर्म में कुछ टेक्निकल एडवांसमेंट प्रोवाइड करना होता है। अगर कोई सिस्टम है तो आप उसका एफिशिएंसी बता सकते हैं कि दिस सिस्टम इज वर्किंग इन अ मोर एफिशिएंट मैनर। वो बस।
तो जैसे अभी हमारे कुछ नए जैसे रोबोट बनाए, बड़े स्मार्ट रोबोट्स बनाए
अच्छा।
और उन्होंने पेटेंट फाइल भी किया। बट
सही है।
मेरे को ऐसा लगता है कि रोबोट्स आज की डेट में मैंने एप्लीकेशन उसके बढ़ा दिए बस उस रोबोट्स के।
हाँ हाँ हाँ, तो सर हाँ, आपने बहुत ही अच्छा एग्जांपल दिया है। तो उसके एप्लीकेशन बढ़ाने से हमें पेटेंट नहीं मिल जाएगा। हमें क्या करना होगा कि वो जो रोबोट है उसमें, अगर मान लीजिए वो पहले कुछ किसी एक पर्टिकुलर उसमें काम करता था और वो सिर्फ कुछ लिमिटेड काम ही कर पाता था, अब नेक्स्ट रिसर्च शुड बी कि दैट रोबोट, हाउ कैन दैट रोबोट फंक्शन मोर एफिशिएंटली, वो और क्या क्या अच्छे काम कर सकता है और किस तरीके से कर सकता है। जैसे अब उसमें एआई का भी रोल हो सकता है, आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस की चीज़ें भी उसमें इनपुट हो सकती हैं, मशीन लर्निंग की चीज़ें भी हैं। अगर वो सारी न्यू टेक्निकल फीचर्स हैं इन दैट न्यू रोबोट, तो ऑफ कोर्स फिर उसको पैटर्न मिल सकता है। लेकिन अगर हम ये बोलेंगे कि जो पुराना रोबोट था, दैट ओल्ड रोबोट इज ओनली हैविंग सम काइंड ऑफ कि अब ये नया काम ये कर देगा जिसका कुछ ऐसा टेक्निकल एडवांसमेंट नहीं है, तो उस केस में थोड़ी डिफिकल्टी होती है।
ओके ओके।
बेसिकली बिफोर इनिशिएटिंग रिसर्च वो टेक्निकल प्रॉब्लम एंड सॉल्यूशन वाली चीज हमेशा एड्रेस करनी चाहिए कि what टेक्निकल प्रॉब्लम वी आर गोइंग टू सॉल्व।
Okay, excuse me, ma'am.
हाँ जी अमन जी।
Okay, ma'am, I just want to know that if we go for patent in any technology, if it is published before, so at that time we don't have any idea of getting it patented. So now we can we go for it right now after? getting it published?
No, ma'am. Now you
Okay.
cannot go for the filing of application since it is already published. So that is why I mentioned in my session yesterday that you should file a patent application at first and then only go for the publication. If maybe
Okay.
if at that time experiments and test data is not generated or it is not ready, then you
Mm-hmm.
can just file the application with a provisional specification. So provisional specification does not have claims, and you just have to incorporate basic idea of the invention and what is it all about and what kind of technical problem you are going to solve. Only with that, 4 to 5 pages disclosure kind of thing is sufficient for filing a provisional application, and then you will have 1 year to total of 12 months to further generate all the
Okay.
experimental data and other test studies, and then based on that you can further claim in your complete specification.
Okay. Could you please, ma'am, give some ideas for non-technical field of patent, like non-technical ideas? Can we go for that?
Ma'am, non-technical ideas. See, patent is only for the technical ideas.
Okay, not on
Non-technical,
non-technical.
yes,
It's only
non-technical
for
ideas.
technical part.
Right, right, right. So some kind of technical problem should be there. If it is non-technical ideas, we'll have to see maybe that literature kind of thing. Its literature can be protected under copyright, or
Mhm.
we'll have to see. Or if you have any specific case, you can let us know. Means by non-technical, what do you mean? Business related ideas?
Yes, maybe related to business or maybe related to some like suppose if I specifically say regarding food items and all, something like that.
Okay. So food item like food composition can be protected as patent.
Okay,
The
food
food, yes,
composition.
yes, food composition. Like we can claim that our food composition has
Mhm.
enhanced nutritional capacity. So those food composition can be protected as patent.
Like in fabrics and in designing, it may be there or
Yes,
not.
for fabric and designing, you can file a design application.
Okay.
Like for the creative and new fabric and
Yeah,
fabric
yeah.
design which you have come up, yes, you can file a design application for that.
So it's
Yes.
okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
My pleasure. You can always drop me a message if you have any questions in the chat box, and
Okay. Sure,
we can
sure, sure,
address
ma'am.
next day.
Okay. Sure, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Abhishek ji, now I think we should start the session. Uh, the people who will come afterward, they will join us. So I request Abhishek ji to start the session. Digital in digital era, how we can think about the intellectual property. अभिषेक जी, आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही है, आपने शुरू नहीं किया अभी। अभिषेक जी, वेलकम मुरुगेशन सर। अभिषेक जी, आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही है। Suvarna ma'am, anybody should tell about the technical things. Suvarna ma'am, is there any technical problem? आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही है शायद।
सर आवाज आ रही है?
या नाउ इट्स ओके।
ठीक है।
मुरुगेशन सर, just I want to have an interaction with Murugesan sir. Are you there?
सर आवाज आप मेरी स्क्रीन पे भी व्यू हो रही है वहां पे?
या आपकी स्क्रीन में बिल्कुल क्लियरली व्यू हो रही है। मैं थोड़ा सा एक बार मुरुगेशन सर से बात करना चाह रहा था। मुरुगेशन सर, आप मुरुगेशन सर,
ठीक है, थैंक यू।
ओके, आप स्टार्ट कर दीजिए प्लीज।
ठीक है, थैंक यू सर। So the topic for today's session is intellectual property in the digital era. So in the today's session, I'll be covering few important provisions of the Information Technology Act. We'll talk about data privacy briefly in today's session, and the intellectual property crimes in the digital space which are happening. So there are 4 types of IP crimes which I'll be discussing, and we'll have an interesting video as well in the today's session, and lastly we'll have the question and answer round. So to begin with, I think let us understand the provisions. There are some basic key provisions of the IT understand which I'll be touching upon, and then gradually move on to the intellectual property crimes in the cyberspace. The IT Act or the Information Technology Act, it came in the year 2000, and the act was enacted in the year 2000 to deal with the electronic commerce and the cybercrime in India. One of the key provisions of this act is it has an overriding effect over the other laws in force. So which means the IT Act will prevail over any other law. And Section 75 says the IT Act is applicable to any offense committed outside India, even if it involves a computer or a computerized system located in India. Then irrespective of the person's nationality, the person is punishable under the IT Act. So now talking about the data theft, this is a very important section or the provision of this act, and I'll discuss what the act says, or rather the section says about the data theft. The section is for section 43, and it says any person who, without the permission of the computer owner or any other person in charge of a computer system, accesses, provides assistance, downloads, or introduces a computer virus, computer contaminant, damages or causes damage to the computer system, or causes disruption in the computer, or maybe alters the data or destroys, or something which diminishes its value, or conceals or destroys any computer source code, there is a punishment of 3 years imprisonment or 5 lakhs fine, or it could be both. So this is a very important provision. I think that there's a IP angle involved in this. As you can see, it talks about computer programs. On the day one, we had learned about that the copyright subsists in the computer programs as well. So this section is often used when in the cases of data theft. We often see that there are a lot of cases about data theft, particularly when when the employees leave an organization, and sometimes they take away the data, and that data is confidential and proprietary to the organization. So it could be a client list or something. So these types of cases do fall under the data theft. Now, data privacy. I think we in today's times, the data is the new oil. I think we had a good discussion on the day one about this, that in the times to come, the next war will be on the data. And we often give a lot of data to various third parties. It could be in the form of buying products on the e-commerce portals. We are giving our details, the name, age, where do we stay, the bank details. So there are various kind of data which is being given. Likewise, on the social media, we have our accounts. We are uploading our pictures, where we stay, our preferences, what do we like, the dislikes. Likewise, at the time of opening a bank account, we give a lot of details on the e-wallets, and then in the time of medical consultation, when we go to an office, the hospitals, we generally are asked to fill up a form at the time of registration. So we end up giving a lot of details, to get the basic formalities completed at all the places. And even in the Google Maps, the simplest of the things that we do, I think we often use Google Maps. Gone are those days when we used to ask someone how to reach. So the convenient way of which all of us do is, just before leaving, we check the Google Maps, how much time will it take, and we don't need to now ask anyone. We are able to reach the place very conveniently without asking anyone. So as a result, we give a lot of details even to the Google. Our basic details are given, the name, age, even at the time, the country, the place. So a lot of data is being given by us.
Yes. Google पे वो आ रही है ना सर, इसकी location वो मॉनिटर पे खत्म हो जाती है.
So we will discuss this section today. Although we have a detailed session on this, the data privacy. So I'll not be touching in detail, but yes, I will be discussing the provision in the Act on the data privacy as well. So it says where a firm or a company, is dealing in sensitive personal data, or is negligent in maintaining security practices, which causes wrongful gain, that entity shall be liable to pay the compensation. And the sensitive personal data, it could be the passwords, the financial data, it could be the biometric data, the health data, my financials. So this is the sensitive personal data. These are the examples of it. And the reasonable security practices means any security practice which normally would have been employed to prevent any unauthorized access or the impairment of the information.
Will you very much comfortable with the application?
So here are the sections.
ऑनलाइन भी कर लेंगे, कुछ ऑफलाइन कर लेंगे. आपका हाथ जम जाएगा जब थोड़ा सा हायर टेक्नोलॉजी ऑफलाइन कुछ ऑनलाइन भी कर लेंगे.
Now of the IT Act on the data theft and impersonation are 66B,
हमारी तरफ से ऑफलाइन
66C,
मैं क्या कह रहा हूँ और भी एक्सपर्ट्स के साथ आपका
and 66D.
वो एक्सपर्ट
So
पढ़ाते
the
नहीं.
punishment for identity theft, now for the fraudulent use of signatures, password, or something in this unique identification feature, the punishment is 3 years and a fine of 1 lakh.
आप इसको वहाँ से लाइव देखो.
And the punishment for cheating by personation using communication device is 3 lakhs and 1 lakh fine.
तभी वो कोई अपना कोई ऑर्गेनाइजेशन आपको अपने यहाँ का अकाउंट सेक्शन का सॉफ्टवेयर आपको शो करेगा.
So in this act, the police officer, not below the rank of the inspector, shall investigate the offences. Any offence under the IT Act.
एक्सपर्ट्स होते हैं ना, वो विजिट नहीं करेंगे और आपको इतनी दूर में भेजूं कभी नहीं.
So there's another section is section 80, which says the inspector will enter a public place and he can search and arrest any person without any warrant. But this act.
जरूरी होता है उसको अंडरस्टैंड कराते हैं अपने सारे.
Now, the effects of digital era. I think the COVID-19 pandemic has, accelerated the digital push in our country. In the last 6 months, everything or the most of the things have gone online. Be it buying the pharmacy stores, we order food now more often, rather than going to the restaurants. We are ordering online. And even for the groceries, the Amazon and the Flipkarts, they were popular, but suddenly the digital activity has seen an accelerated push. Another reason can be the data plans in our country. A data plan is available for as low as 200 rupees a month. The banking app, now we instead of going to the bank, we do the online fund transfer. The days of the checkbooks, those were the old days. Now this is a much more convenient way. The funds are transferred immediately. Even the education has gone online. There are classes. The schools have gone online, and the address and the mapping, as I just mentioned, in even the Google Maps, it's easier to find a location. And social media, it has become much popular. The instant mode of communication is now the WhatsApp. So we have those Facebooks. They are so the social media, Instagram. So the businesses, the brands now have moved online. So the COVID-19 just accelerated the push towards the digital era. So now, looking at the intellectual property and the crimes, I think I have clubbed this into 4 categories. And so the first category is the counterfeit goods available on the e-commerce portals, like for instance, the Amazon and the Flipkart.
digital marketing का course किए.
Second is the data theft.
इस समय जो चीज है डिजिटल मार्केटिंग.
It talks about copyright infringement. Then there are job scams. There are issues of the trademark infringement involved.
डिजिटल मार्केटिंग इस समय आपके लिए एक बहुत बड़ी चीज है.
And the bank insurance fraud cases where there is a call, claiming that the person is calling from a bank, whether you want to get a new card or a new insurance policy. So we will now, as we move along, I will discuss each one of them and with the help of examples. So now, firstly, let us understand what is an online marketplace. The online
ये चल रहा है कि जो आजकल ऑनलाइन चोरी होती है ना बहुत ज्यादा.
An e-commerce marketplace is essentially a website where a product or service is provided by third parties and the transactions are carried out by the marketplace operator. So the thing to be noted is that e-commerce website is the connecting point between the retailer and the customer, or rather the buyer. So there are common examples of the social media websites. We all would have purchased groceries, even the clothing from from these websites. The Myntra, Flipkart, all of them are very popular in India and need no introduction. And India Mart also has listing of the products as well. The products of various brand owners are listed on India Mart as well.
Hello. Hello.
So now coming to the next issue, the online sale of counterfeit goods. We all, would have purchased goods and at times would have realized that the product that we have got doesn't seem to be original. So now the next question which comes to or anyone's mind is, how does it happen and why does it happen? The first reason being the anonymity of internet helps traders to hide their identity. Many a times we see that only the names of the sellers are given, their addresses are not given. So, they are able to hide their identity. Another reason can be the images of genuine products are shown, but then when you actually get it, it's a fake product. There have been occasions when, the infringing product or the counterfeit product has been offered at throwaway prices. A very recent example which comes to my mind as I speak is a Ray-Ban sunglass being offered for 150 rupees. We all know Ray-Ban sunglasses normally start from at 4,000 to 5,000 rupees, and something which comes at as low as 150 is definitely a fake product. Another reason is there are closed groups which are now being formed on WhatsApp to sell the goods. It is possible to form a closed group of 250 people, and there are goods being circulated, being advertised within a closed group or a friends or a extended network. So it's a very close group, and these kind of social media platforms are also being not only being used to exchange messages, but they are also being used to advertise or promote the business. Another reason is not all e-commerce portals carry out the checks of the sellers and the risk assessment, which could be whether this seller has been engaged earlier or was he dealing in the counterfeit goods. So at many times these checks are not done by the e-commerce portal, and as a result, those goods, these kind of goods, continue to find their way in the market. High margin in luxury goods is again one. This is the reason is purely monetary. The higher margin means higher profits, and because obviously they don't have to. The quality is much cheaper, and they generally have the higher profit margins. So now I'll now discuss what I have just mentioned with the help of some of the cases which were there. So as you can see on the screen, these are Harley Davidson mobile phone covers, the T-shirts, and the keychain. And these keychains were available at a very nominal price of 100 rupees, and the T-shirts were being sold for about 500 rupees. Normally, these Harley Davidson products are the apparel range starts much higher, is about 4,000 is the starting, and it goes higher. It could be 8,000 or 10,000. So in this case, what had happened was these e-commerce portals were selling these infringing products bearing the Harley Davidson mark, and a notice was issued to them, and immediately these products were delisted from the e-commerce portal. Another interesting case was, in this case, is the laptop table, which was being offered on the Rediff.com, and the price is, is a very good indication that this cannot be an original Harley Davidson product. Even Harley Davidson does not manufacture these, but then the seller realized that the logo in itself has such enormous goodwill that people, on seeing the Harley Davidson logo, will immediately buy it. So again, in this case, it was reported to the website, and the infringing products were immediately delisted and removed from the website. Aditya Birla, we all would have seen the Peter England and the Peter England logo on these on the shirts. I think they were quite popular in the market. So in this case, what was happening was there were these counterfeit shirts were being sold online, bearing the Peter England, the mark and the logo, which we can see on the screen is the green and the red color. And this was being done on a separate website. And interestingly, there was no offer being made by the brand owner. So this was a scheme or the enticement. The product was being offered at a very cheap price to lure the customers into buying it. And in this case as well, the notice was issued to the other side, and immediately such offers were removed, and the objectionable images, meaning thereby the logo and the mark, the trademark, Peter England. These are proprietary names, and they cannot be used without authorization by anyone else. So these were just to give you an example. So these were the images, with the logo had been copied, so this is how the website was set up, and the images were being shown on the website. Now coming to the e-commerce portals, we all would have seen, the e-commerce portals, the Information Technology Act, they have been included within the definition of an intermediary. So now let us understand, what does intermediary actually mean. The Information Technology Act says intermediary with respect to any particular record means any person who on behalf of another receives, stores or transmits that record or provides any services. The crucial words to be noted here are these three important words which are underlined, which says received, stores or transmit. So in other words, the intermediary, if it has a passive role, it is then it can be called as an intermediary. It receives, stores or transmits. And the online marketplaces have been included, are considered as intermediaries under the Information Technology Act. And a very interesting provision and an important provision of the Act is the Information Technology, Section 79 of the IT Act, which says that an intermediary shall not be liable for any third party information or data hosted by him if that information made available by third parties is temporarily stored or hosted, and the transmission or the selection or receiver or modification of information in transmission is not initiated by an intermediary. Thirdly, the intermediary observe due diligence and other guidelines. And however, the intermediaries, meaning the e-commerce portals, however, they cannot claim this immunity under Section 79, provided the intermediary has conspired, abetted, aid, or induced the commission of unlawful act. Secondly, if it fails to remove or disables access to information, data, or the communication link upon receiving actual knowledge. So, in the nutshell, what I am trying to say here is if the intermediary plays an active role, in displaying the counterfeit goods, so then it can be held liable under the act. It can be held liable if they are able to show that they were not if the e-commerce portal was not aware of the infringing product being sold, then it cannot be held liable. There are guidelines, strict guidelines which have been laid down. These are known as the Information Technology Intermediary Guidelines, Rules of 2011, under which the e-commerce portal is required to remove the infringing product or the objectionable web links within 36 hours of receiving the notice. Let's assume if it doesn't comply with this, then an action can be brought against it under the law. So this is a very important provision, which within which they have to bring down the objectionable content. So these are some of the very important decisions which were passed by a court, right, starting from Shreya Singhal. Then we had the MySpace. This was the Delhi High Court, Kent RO. So the principle which came out as we have evolved over the years, now the rule is that the court order is not necessary to remove the objectionable content. What is necessary is that the intermediary is required to move the content upon receiving the actual knowledge. So which means an email or a notice has to be issued that the content should be removed, and in case that content is still not removed, then the e-commerce portal can be tried in a court of law and not before that. So these are the cases. Even the last case, this was a very important case, the Christian Louboutin case. In this case, again, the court held that if the intermediary fails to observe due diligence, then it could amount to conspiring, aiding, or abetting the unlawful conduct. An example of this can be many a times we would have seen on the Flipkart and the Amazon website. The e-commerce portals is sometimes giving an assurance. For example, the Flipkart says the Flipkart assured product. So this is an active role being played by the e-commerce portal. It is kind of giving an assurance to the buyer or the customer who is on the website to purchase the product. Likewise, a positive statement from the e-commerce portal, 100% genuine products. Again, this is a kind of an assurance to the buyer. So if these kind of statements or assurances are found, then the intermediary cannot claim immunity or the safe harbor, by which they can then they cannot say that they were not aware of the counterfeit product being sold. since they have themselves made an assurance or positive statement that the products are original, which are being sold on their website. This was a case in which mobile application which was uploaded on the app stores, the Apple, BlackBerry, and Google, that had infringed the copyright, the publisher's copyright and the trademarks in these storybooks. In this case, the app owners, they had they argued on a very basic principle that they said, which was that they cannot be held liable for this kind of an infringement. And in this case, that their view was that the claim, if any, for infringement proceedings should be directed towards the creator of the app and not towards the app stores, the Apple, BlackBerry, and the Google. So they said they are not the ones who are responsible for this. They are just facilitating this. So in such a case, the action should be towards the creator of the app. So being convinced, the court found merit in the contentions made by the app owners, and it was felt that the court observed that the BlackBerry, Google, and all the platform providers, they were being unnecessarily dragged into the dispute and could not be held liable. Online piracy. So this is a very important thing which we will be discussing today. And a lot of copyrighted materials are being available on the internet, and the online piracy has become rampant in today's time with the advent and the of the digital age. With everything, the business is moving online. A lot the infringing content, even on the software side, is available. So in this case, the issues before the High Court were, there was in this case, the plaintiff, there was a civil suit which was filed before the Delhi High Court. In these, this is a SAP software, and in the training materials, and there were these training materials were copyrighted, protected, and there was a violation by the defendant who was offering these courses, or he was offering the pirated software without obtaining a license from the SAP, or rather, there was no agreement with the plaintiff in this case. So, being convinced with the case put forward, the injunction was granted, restraining the other side from restraining them from using the pirated version of the software. Data theft. Data theft. See, these kind of complaints and IP crimes are now becoming very, very common in today's times, and we are seeing a lot of crimes being committed where the data theft has been involved. So another interesting case which you can see on the slides was the Microsoft case. In this case, what had happened was the accused person, they had set up a call center, and they made calls to the Microsoft customers, and they were running a call center using the and these, in the calls which were made, they told that their data, their systems have been infected by malware, and if this malware was not rectified, their financial information would be compromised. And what these people did was that they said they will provide the technical support, and they used to ask during the call that some money has to be deposited for offering this technical advice. And during the call, they posed as Microsoft representatives. So they used the Microsoft name and portrayed that the call is being made through Microsoft from the Microsoft company itself. And the very interesting question which comes to everyone's mind was, how did they gain access to this data? So in this case, again, their data was leaked to them. They had the access of their current customers, the details, the email addresses, the phone numbers, the names. Even though these are confidential details, but somehow they got hold of them and made money out of this. So Microsoft, they filed a complaint, and more than 10 persons were arrested, and various sections of the IPC for cheating using the Microsoft's name, and for cheating by impersonation, wherein they pretended they showed that they portrayed that they are calling from the Microsoft company, which was not the case. This is the recent problem which has arisen, and this is now becoming a menace. I think a lot of us do get fake calls on the mobile phones. It could be a call, it could be an SMS, informing us that our credit card has been blocked, or our KYC needs to be updated. But have we ever thought, from where do these calls come from? The answer to this question is Jamtara in Jharkhand. Has anyone heard of this place? So Jamtara, it has earned the infamous tag, and it is now known as the cybercrime capital in India. I will now play an interesting video which will to tell you more about the Jamtara and how these scamsters have made money over the years and how big they have become.
नमस्कार मैडम, मैं बैंक से बोल रहा हूँ, बैंक मैनेजर।
हाँ बोलिए।
मैडम, आपका एटीएम कार्ड को ब्लॉक कर दिया गया है, क्या उसे चालू करना चाहेंगे या बंद रखना चाहेंगे?
ये कैसे हो सकता है?
चालू करने के लिए अभी आपका एटीएम कार्ड होना अनिवार्य है मैडम। क्या अभी आपका एटीएम कार्ड साथ में है?
जी रुकिए।
कितना हुआ? कितना केजी हुआ?
आपका बैंक का जो एटीएम कार्ड है ना, वो बंद कर दिया गया है। तो ब्लॉक कैसे हो गया ऐसा कार्ड मेरा?
देखिए, आपको एक मैसेज आएगा, ओटीपी होगा, वो आप कंफर्म कराइए।
हाँ आया, एक मिनट।
शुरुआत में जब फेमस हुआ ये क्राइम, और उसका जो सोर्स है वो जामताड़ा था, तो जामताड़ा साइबर क्राइम कैपिटल के रूप में फेमस हो गया। लगभग 5 से 6 साल पहले की बात है। अचानक जैसे ही स्मार्टफोन्स और इंटरनेट बैंकिंग इत्यादि का फैलाव हुआ, प्रसार हुआ, सम स्मार्ट पीपल हु हैपन टू बी बिलोंगिंग टू जामताड़ा, दे थॉट कि हम लोग इस तरह का भी क्राइम कर सकते हैं।
रोजगार का साधन नहीं होने के कारण कुछ युवाएं बाहर जाते थे, वहां से उनकी भाषाएं सीख के आए और वहां से टेक्नोलॉजी बाहर लेके आए यहाँ पर। उसी की तरह अपने अपने मित्रता के बाद वो क्या हुआ कि शाखाएं की तरफ बढ़ती गई।
लोग आप देखिए, अभी 8 बजे ट्रेन जाती है बंगाल की, सारे मजदूर लोग पलायन करेगा, सुबह शाम तक लौट कर आएंगे। कितना मिलेगा? 200 रुपया। हम जाए कहाँ? क्राइम तो करेंगे लोग।
Most of these teenagers have these mobile phones, and these are mostly dropouts who have never seen a school or a college. As a fake bank employee, they call up various random people.
बैंक के किसी कर्मी को इम्पर्सोनेट करते हैं। आपका क्रेडिट कार्ड या डेबिट कार्ड में आपका जो पासवर्ड है वो किसी कारण से ब्लॉक हो गया, ये कह के जो है पासवर्ड ले लिया और उसके बाद जो है आप गए। होता क्या है कि फील्ड इत्यादि में उनके पास भाग निकलने का ज्यादा चांस होता है। क्योंकि वो बहुत स्पेशियस जगह है।
इस एरिया में आप लोग कौन कौन सी जगहों पे जाके कॉल करते हैं?
बस इस तरह कई जंगल झाड़ वहाँ पे सही तरह नेटवर्क मिलता है, प्लस हल्ला नहीं, शांति एरिया है।
एक दिन के अंदर कम से कम एक बंदा कितने कॉल करता होगा?
100-150।
और उसमें से कितने कॉल में से पैसा आने की संभावना रहती है?
हो सके तो एक ही कॉल में हो गया तो हो गया, नहीं तो 100 भी लगाएंगे तो नहीं भी हो सकता है, कोई गारंटी नहीं है।
पैसे कहाँ पे डालते हैं, कहाँ पे यूटिलाइज होता है?
जैसे कोई भी व्यक्ति, जैसे आपके पास एक अकाउंट रहा, उससे अकाउंट डाल दिए, आपको मिलेगा 20%, हमको मिलेगा 80%।
किसी को 10% फ्री में आ रहा है तो वो तुरंत तैयार हो जाता है। जिसको 100 रुपए मिलना मुश्किल है, उसको कोई अगर आप 10,000 का देने को तैयार है तो वो फिर क्यों नहीं क्राइम करेगा? तो इस चीज को इस्तेमाल करते हैं।
पैसे आने के बाद पर्सनली आपका जिंदगी कैसे बदली है?
इतना लोग कमाया है कि यहाँ तो पहले गरीबी थी, लेकिन आज के डेट में देखिएगा घर पूरा तो 1 करोड़ का 80-80 लाख का एक घर बनाया है। देखिए अब यहाँ से हम लोग चलेंगे, जितने भी घर देखिएगा बढ़िया बढ़िया, जितना घर है टोटल साइबर है। देखिए इस सामने वाला बाएं भी जो घर है, ये भी घर वाला है भाई, ये भी घर वाला है। देखिए अंदर में बाहर से अच्छी दिखाएगा, 2-4 खपड़ा दिखाएगा, बाकी अंदर में सब घर जो टाउन में नहीं मिलेगा वैसा यहाँ मिलेगा। मेन बात है कि जो आदमी, जैसे कि ये देखिए ये सब जितना गाछ है, ये सब गाछ में लोग कई बार धरा के गए हैं। एक बार हम भी पकड़े हैं, तो साइबर थाना वाले लोग आकर पकड़ के ले गए। पहले लोग बैठते थे झुंड बनाते, लेकिन अब झुंड नहीं बनाता है। अब लोग सारा आदमी है तो अब घर में या बाहर चल जाते हैं, कलकत्ता, दिल्ली, मद्रास, और वहीं होटल में बैठ के वहीं से काम करता है। मोबाइल से काम करना है।
जो आम इंसान है उसके पास छोटा अमाउंट ऑफ पैसा होता है जो अपने बैंक में रखता है। किसी ने आपको कॉल किया कि भाई तुम्हारा ये कार्ड जो है ब्लॉक हो जाने वाला है, तो आप अचानक परेशान हो जाते हो कि अगर मेरा कार्ड ब्लॉक हो गया तो हम पैसे तुरंत कैसे निकालेंगे। ये जो पैसा बचाने का और हैसल से बचने का जो मेंटालिटी होता है, उसको ये लोग यूज करते हैं।
It's a non-descripted village, nothing is happening, and yet it is the hub of cybercrime in India.
खराब लगता है, कहीं भी जाते हैं बाहर में, चाहे हम लोग कहीं घूमने भी जाते हैं तो शर्म के मारे कभी नहीं बताते कि हम लोग वहां से आए। अब बताते भी तो बहुत शर्मिंदगी होती है। लोग बोलते हैं वही साइबर का हब से आया हुआ, तो डर के रहो। ट्रेनों में चलते हुए चर्चा भी यही होती है कि वो साइबर का हब तो पता है ना आपको। हम लोग आसपास के लोग जगह लोकेशन बताते, कभी देवघर तो कभी चित्रंजन बता देते।
इसके बारे में बुरा लगता है कभी?
बहुत। तो एक गरीब वो रिक्शा चला के पैसा रखा होगा, ऑटो चला के रखा होगा, मजदूरी करके रखा होगा, तो सब इंसान का पैसा कट जाता है अकाउंट से, जिससे कितना अफसोस होता होगा, उसका परिवार क्या खाएगा पिएगा। और आजकल कोई किसी का दुख दिखता नहीं है, वो अपना सूदी खाली देखना चाहता है। इस कारण में क्राइम चलते रहा।
जी सर, मैसेज मिला सर आपको?
हाँ मिला।
हाँ सर, मैसेज में सर जो 6 अंक का नंबर होगा सर, 6 अंक का नंबर बताइएगा।
हाँ नोट कीजिए। 7 8
4 3 5।
जी सर, जी आपका सर कार्ड चालू हो गया सर। क्या मुझे बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
जी नमस्कार सर, मैं बैंक से बोल रहा हूँ।
So we all saw how these bank calls that we get from, how conveniently these people are operating from the open fields, and at times they even get abusive during the calls. And I must admit, even I have fallen to one of these trap calls and have lost money when I was not aware that it was coming from a prankster who was operating from the open fields in Jamtara. The last is the job scams that we will be discussing. Here, what we have seen in today's times, that the COVID, when everything has gone online, the interviews are being conducted online. There are the physical contact is being minimized, and the number of job scams that have increased recently, it has been something to watch out for. So to understand how do these online job scams function, so what these scamsters do, they set up a website or a domain name which is very close to a brand owner's name, have the content which is having the logos or the names of the famous brands, and the objective is very clear, to lure the job seekers or to have conduct online training schemes whereby they would misrepresent and convey to the innocent job seeker that they are calling from the office or from the brand owner's organization, which is not the case. So we will discuss few examples or the illustrative cases which have happened as we move along. Hard Rock, as you must be aware, it is one of the leaders in the hospitality industry. They have a lot of cafes, pubs, and even a hotel in Goa. So in this case, what had happened was they were issuing fake employment letters to the candidates, and they claimed that they were offering a vacancy, offering a position in Canada, and they asked candidates to deposit a fees of 21,000 rupees. And interestingly, these offers were made through the Gmail addresses. Normally, what you would expect that the such kind of offers would originate from the domain or the website of the brand owner, but interestingly, these offers were being made through the Gmail address. And there's for an illustration, if you can see on the screen, this is how the email address was appearing, and they were using the Hard Rock as well. You know, in the signature, it would show that they had set up the profile as Canadian Hard Rock Hotel. You know, so set up a fake email address and even a profile on the Gmail, when in fact they are not from Hard Rock, but conveying or misrepresenting to the public that they are that this offer is being made by the Hard Rock Hotel. You can see on the top, you know, now they issue an offer letter also, which has the identical Hard Rock Hotel logo. Even on the in the middle of the page, you can see in the background there's a Hard Rock written, and then at the bottom there is a logo Hard Rock. They have copied the font, style, color scheme, everything. So to bring it as close as possible to the logo of the Hard Rock, and to convey the impression that this offer is coming from the Hard Rock. So you can see, so they are making money and you know, just and running away. And these kind of offers, these are fake job offers, and we have seen a lot of offers being made in the last 6 months. Suddenly, when a lot of people are losing jobs, and some people thought that here is an opportunity for them to make money, and this is how and what they did. So in this case as well, the complaints were filed under the Information Technology Act and the provisions of the Indian Penal Code. The provisions of cheating were invoked, and Section 66D, as we had discussed in the beginning, it talks about the cheating by impersonation, and these provisions were introduced. Another interesting case which I thought I must mention in today's presentation is the Ritz Paris hotel case. This is a hotel again, and in this case as well, the offers were being made. The interesting thing which was that they set up a website. You know, you will see on the screen Ritz Paris 007, and the website of the brand owner was Ritz Paris. So the defendant just added the numeral 007. So you will see it is a very minor change which they had made, and probably thinking that, you know, people would ignore this change and think that this offer is coming from actually the Ritz Paris Hotel. 007 is a very minor change, and not many people would notice it. So what they had done this, they issued a fake employment letter, and in this case they also collected. This was call center being the calls were made through a placement agency located in Mumbai. They conducted a medical test, or also rather a telephonic interview, and collected fee in the name of a medical test, and asked for about 18,000 rupees to be deposited. And a lot of candidates actually fell for it. You can see they have also copied the Ritz Paris logo, the way it is written, the font style, and the salary also they mention in the offer letter, 1,400 euros, where actually this is a fake employment letter, and also they copied the rubber stamp. Here you can see they have copied the Ritz Paris and even the rubber stamp, and these are fake signatures which were done. So in this case, what had happened was the court case was filed, and immediately a lot of candidates were duped. They had lost money, they deposited money, and the brand owner, the Ritz Paris, received number of queries saying that whether these offers are genuine or not, and the court immediately passed an injunction order and restraining them from using this Ritz mark, and the business of the other side was shut down. Another example is the Tata. This is again a fake employment letter that was issued. Tata, we all know, I think this is a household name in India. Again, using the Tata's name and a fake employment letter, mentioning everything being issued to the innocent candidates. Now, here, as you would see on in both the frames, on the right and the left, here the content has been copied, or rather the layout, the images that we can see, it seems that it is a copy of the other. The way they are, in this case, the domain names were different, but the look and feel, as we commonly describe it, it seems that the website is a copy of another. So in this case as well, a complaint was filed under the Information Technology Act, and the IPC provisions were also invoked, and the website was shut down. So that's the end of my presentation. I hope the session was useful and interesting for the participants.
Yeah, it's really very nice interaction.
Thank you. I hope the video was interesting. So it was something, how the crimes are being conducted, the IP crimes.
Yeah. And the video which you have seen was also very interesting. So definitely on 9th, Vigyan Bharati is organizing one program on cyber security. So that is going to be held. The speaker is Dr. Onkar Rai. Onkar Rai is the Director General of STPI, Software Technology Park of India. So I'll definitely circulate the detail of that. So anyone who want to join that particular talk, they can attend this. Cyber security का एक अच्छा talk है. Any question if anybody is having, then please be asked. Rashmi ma'am from Jharkhand.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please बताइए कोई क्वेश्चन हो तो।
नो सर, थैंक यू सर।
ऐसे कोई फ्रॉड आपके साइड में सुनने को आया है?
जामताड़ा इज इन झारखंड सर।
ओके ओके, जो एग्जांपल था ये वहीं का था।
Jamtara is now known as the cybercrime capital. I think it has earned the tag, infamous tag.
Yes.
Anybody else who want to have some kind of queries or question? So okay, Abhishek ji, for your nice session and good interaction with us. So we'll definitely meet you all again on tomorrow at same time 4 o'clock. In between, we'll try to convey the PPT and other material. Thank you all.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Ji.